I never thought betrayal could come from two people I trusted the most. But it did. And when it happened, it didn't just sting. It carved something deep inside me that I knew I could never forget, and definitely never forgive. Because how do you forgive your brother for stealing the one person who was supposed to be your safe place? It started like any other night. Emily was at my house, sprawled across my bed with a bag of chips, scrolling through her phone while I worked on homework. She had been my best friend since we were 10, the kind of friend who knew all my secrets, who would see me cry, laugh, fall apart, and rebuild. My parents loved her like a second daughter. She was at every family dinner, every holiday gathering, every big milestone. She was part of us. Ryan, my brother, was in and out of the room as usual. He was 2 years older, smug and charming in a way that made people fall for him without even realizing. Girls at school tripped over themselves around him, and he loved every second of it. But to me, he was just Ryan, the brother who hogged the bathroom, stole food from the fridge, and teased me until I wanted to scream. That night, though, I noticed something strange. Every time he passed my door, Emily's eyes flicked up. Just for a second, but enough for me to notice. And Ryan, usually oblivious to everyone but himself, lingered a little longer in the doorway than he normally would. His jokes seemed directed more at her than at me. At the time, I brushed it off. Emily was my best friend. Ryan was my brother. They annoyed each other more than anything. I figured it was just in my head. But then came the little things. Emily started canceling our weekend plans, saying she had errands, or her mom needed her. She was quieter when we were together, distracted, her phone buzzing more often than usual. And when I asked who she was talking to, she'd smile a little too quickly and say, "No one." I didn't push. She deserved her privacy. Best friends don't interrogate each other over every text. But deep down, something gnawed at me. Something I couldn't name. The truth came out one Friday night. I had gone downstairs to grab popcorn while Emily stayed in my room. The house was quiet except for the hum of the TV in the living room. As I rounded the corner, voices stopped me in my tracks. Ryan's voice. Low. Playful. Emily's voice. Soft. Nervous. I froze, my heart pounding. I peeked around the corner, and what I saw knocked the air out of me. Emily was sitting on the couch, her phone in her lap, her face flushed. Ryan leaned against the armrest, grinning, his hand brushing against hers like it was the most natural thing in the world. My chest tightened, heat flooding my face. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. Relax, Ryan whispered, his grin widening. She won't find out. Emily glanced toward the stairs, toward me, and for a terrifying second, I thought her eyes met mine. But she looked away just as quickly, laughing nervously, tucking her hair behind her ear. I stumbled back, pressing my hand against my mouth, my chest aching. My brother. My best friend. Together. I went upstairs without making a sound, my mind spinning, my stomach twisted in knots. When Emily came back up 10 minutes later, her smile was too bright, her laugh too forced. She plopped down on the bed like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just betrayed me in the worst way possible. I didn't say a word. Not yet. Because shock quickly hardened into something sharper. Anger. Determination. If they thought I wouldn't find out, they were wrong. If they thought they could lie to me, sneak behind my back, and break me without consequences, they had no idea who they were dealing with. The following week, I paid closer attention. Emily's excuses piled up. Ryan disappeared for hours, claiming he was with friends. I started noticing the little details. The way Emily's phone buzzed with messages she hid from me, the way Ryan smirked when she came over, the stolen glances they thought I couldn't see. It hurt. God, it hurt. I'd loved Emily like a sister, trusted her with everything. And Ryan, he wasn't just my brother. He was supposed to protect me, not hurt me. The two people who knew me best had chosen to betray me together. But I wasn't going to sit in silence and let them play me for a fool. One night, when Emily left her phone unattended in the bathroom, I did what I never thought I'd do. My hands shook as I unlocked it. Her password was still the same, my birthday, and scrolled through her messages. And there it was. Thread after thread with Ryan. Flirty texts. Late-night calls. Photos. Secrets whispered through the screen. Each word I read was another knife in my chest. Ryan. She has no clue, does she? Emily. No, but I feel guilty. She's my best friend. Ryan. She doesn't need to know. This is between us. My hands shook, tears blurring my vision, rage bubbling in my chest. I took screenshots of everything. Every word. Every photo. Every lie. And in that moment, I made a decision. They wanted to keep secrets? Fine. I'd play along. I'd let them think I was clueless, that I believed their lies. Because when I finally exposed them, it wouldn't just be between us. It would be in front of everyone. I carried that fire inside me for weeks, pretending nothing had changed. I still invited Emily over, still joked with Ryan, still smiled through dinners. They relaxed, believing they were safe, that their secret was locked away. But behind closed doors, I gathered evidence. Texts, calls, little slips of conversations I overheard. I wrote everything down, cataloged every detail. And I waited. Because revenge, I realized, isn't about anger. It's about patience. It's about timing. And when the time came, I'd make sure their betrayal burned. The hardest part wasn't pretending I didn't know. It was forcing myself to smile, to laugh, to play the role of the clueless sister, while every glance between them sliced me open. I became an actress in my own home, nodding at their lies, biting my tongue until it nearly bled. But behind my silence, every day I grew sharper, stronger, more certain of what I had to do. Emily still came over, maybe more often than before. She'd lounge on my bed, pretending to scroll through social media while her phone buzzed against her thigh. I'd catch the glow in her eyes when Ryan passed the doorway, the way her lips curved almost unconsciously. I saw it all now. Nothing escaped me. One Saturday afternoon, I decided to test her. We were watching a movie in my room, the bowl of popcorn between us nearly empty. I turned to her casually, keeping my voice light. So, talking to anyone? She nearly choked on the kernel she was chewing. What? No. Why? I shrugged, forcing a smile. I don't know. You've been kind of distracted lately. I figured maybe there was someone new. Her laugh was too quick, too forced. Nope. No one. Just school, you know? I nodded, pretending to believe her. But inside, I memorized every flicker in her eyes, every stutter in her voice. She was lying, and I wanted her to know that someday soon, I'd make her choke on those lies. Ryan, on the other hand, was cockier than ever. He thought he'd pulled off the perfect secret. He'd walk into my room just to grab something off the shelf, lingering too long, smirking when Emily looked down shyly. At dinner, he'd hide his phone under the table, pretending to text friends, while I knew exactly who he was messaging. It was almost funny. Almost. But then the guilt started. Not theirs, mine. Because late at night, lying in bed, I found myself wondering what I'd done to deserve it. Had I ignored Emily too much? Had I made Ryan feel invisible? Was I really so unlovable that the two people who should have been closest to me found each other instead? The thoughts ate at me, but then I'd remember those screenshots, those words between them. She has no clue. Does she? She's my best friend. She doesn't need to know. And the guilt would dissolve into fire again. One night, I overheard them. I'd gone downstairs for water, padding quietly into the kitchen. But voices from the backyard stopped me in my tracks. The sliding glass door was cracked, and outside on the porch, Ryan and Emily sat close, too close, their silhouettes framed by the porch light. Maybe we should tell her, Emily whispered. Her voice shook, like she was afraid of the very words. Ryan's laugh was low, confident. And ruin everything? No way. She'd flip out. Besides, it's not like she'll find out, unless you plan to tell her. No, Emily said quickly. I feel awful. She trusts me. Ryan leaned in, his hand brushing her arm. Relax. She's too naive to notice. And even if she did, she wouldn't have the guts to do anything about it. My breath caught. My nails dug into my palm until I nearly broke skin. Naive. Gutless. That's what he thought of me. I slipped away silently, rage bubbling in my chest. I wanted to burst through the door, to scream at them both, to expose them right then and there. But I didn't. Not yet. Because Ryan was wrong about me. I wasn't naive. I wasn't gutless. I was patient, and patience would be their undoing. The next morning, I called Alina. She was the only person I could trust, the only one who'd never turned her back on me. When I told her everything, the texts, the secret meetings, the words I overheard, her outrage matched mine. "They're disgusting," she snapped. "Kate, you can't let them get away with this. You have to do something." "I will," I promised, my voice steady. "But not yet. I want them to feel safe. I want them to think they've fooled me completely. And then I'll make sure everyone sees them for who they really are." Alina was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "You're scarier than I thought." I almost smiled. Good. Weeks passed, and the act became easier. I laughed with Emily, teased Ryan, pretended not to notice when they disappeared together for errands or study sessions. They thought they were brilliant actors, hiding glances behind smiles, covering lies with excuses. But every time they slipped up, every time Ryan brushed her hand under the table or Emily blushed at his joke, I tucked it away in my memory. Piece by piece, their betrayal became a story I would one day tell the world. And then the perfect opportunity came. Ryan's birthday. Elizabeth, my stepmother, loved birthdays almost as much as Ryan did. She planned a huge dinner at the house, inviting family, friends, neighbors, even some of Ryan's classmates. It was the kind of event where appearances mattered, where reputations were polished. The kind of stage perfect for truth bombs. When I saw the guest list pinned to the fridge, my heart raced. This was it. This was where I'd burn their little secret alive. But first I needed more. That night, I set a trap. Emily came over to study, though she barely glanced at her books. While she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the bed. Without hesitation, I picked it up, heart pounding. The message glowed on the screen. "Ryan, can't wait to see you tomorrow. Wear that blue dress I like." My breath hitched. My chest burned. But then, before I could put the phone down, another message popped up. "Ryan, don't worry. She's clueless. She'll never know." I stared at the words until they blurred. And then I smiled. Because tomorrow, at his birthday, in front of everyone, he'd find out exactly how wrong he was. The morning of Ryan's birthday, the house buzzed with energy. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling, trays of food cluttered the counters, and Elizabeth moved around like a general commanding her troops. Ryan basked in the attention, strutting through the house in his new shirt, grinning like a king on his throne. I played the dutiful sister, smiling when asked, helping set the table, keeping my eyes lowered whenever Ryan looked at me. He thought he'd won. He thought his little secret was safe, that I was still the clueless little sister too naive to see the truth. But tonight, he'd see just how wrong he was. By evening, the house was packed. Family, friends, neighbors, classmates. All of them crowding the living room, laughing, sipping drinks, complimenting Elizabeth on her perfect hosting. Ryan soaked it in, throwing his arm around Emily whenever she drifted too close, whispering jokes in her ear when he thought no one was looking. But I was always looking. And I wasn't the only one. Alina had come, standing firmly by my side. She knew the plan, knew what was coming. Every time I faltered, every time my nerves threatened to get the best of me, she squeezed my hand, reminding me why I was doing this. Because betrayal should never go unpunished. The night stretched on, chatter and laughter filling the house. Ryan was in his element, bragging to his friends, taking selfies with Emily, joking loudly enough for the whole room to hear. Every smile he gave her, every look she returned, was fuel to the fire burning inside me. Finally, the moment came. Elizabeth dimmed the lights, carrying out the enormous cake, candles glowing brightly. Everyone gathered around, clapping and cheering as Ryan leaned forward, grinning smugly. "Make a wish," Elizabeth called, her voice sing-song sweet. Ryan smirked, his eyes flicking toward Emily before closing. He took a deep breath, ready to blow out the candles. And that's when I stepped forward. "Wait," I said loudly, my voice cutting through the noise. The room fell silent. Every head turned toward me. Ryan froze, his smile faltering, his eyes narrowing. "What are you doing?" he asked, irritation creeping into his voice. I held up my phone, the screen glowing. My hands shook, but my voice was steady. Before you make your wish, maybe everyone should know the truth about you. About both of you. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Emily's face drained of color, her eyes wide with panic. Ryan's jaw tightened, his eyes flashing with warning. "Kate," he hissed, "don't." But I ignored him. With a tap, the screenshots appeared, projected onto the TV behind me through the Bluetooth connection I'd set up earlier. The room gasped again as Ryan's messages filled the screen. "She has no clue, does she? She's my best friend. She doesn't need to know. Wear that blue dress I like." Whispers spread like wildfire. Faces turned to Ryan, then Emily, then me. Ryan lunged forward, his face red. "This is out of context." "She's twisting it." "Out of context?" I snapped, my voice shaking with rage. "How do you twist you flirting with my best friend behind my back? How do you twist her lying to my face every day while sneaking around with you? You betrayed me, Ryan. Both of you." Emily's lips trembled. "Kate, I didn't mean for it to. Didn't mean for it." My voice cracked, years of hurt pouring out. "You were supposed to be my best friend. You were supposed to have my back. And instead, you went behind it with him." The room was silent, the weight of my words sinking in. Ryan stood frozen, his fists clenched, his mask finally slipping. Emily's eyes filled with tears, her face crumpling. "Kate, please," she whispered, her voice breaking.
"I'm sorry."
I didn't know how to stop it.
Save
it, I said coldly. Sorry doesn't erase the lies. Sorry doesn't erase the nights you snuck out with him, the texts you hid, the way you made me feel like I was crazy for noticing. You don't get to say sorry now." Emily's tears spilled over, but I didn't care. Ryan finally snapped, his voice loud and sharp. "You think you're better than me? You think you're some kind of saint? You're just jealous, Kate. You've always been jealous. That's why you did this, because you couldn't stand that someone actually chose me over you." The words stung, but I forced myself to stand tall. "Jealous?
No. I'm disgusted."
"And now, everyone else sees you for what you are too." I turned to the crowd, my voice clear and steady. "This is who my brother is. This is who my best friend is." And they thought they could keep it hidden. They thought I'd stay quiet. But I'm done being quiet. The silence was deafening. Then slowly people began to shift. Some shook their heads in disbelief. Others muttered to each other, casting disgusted glances at Ryan and Emily. Even Elizabeth, who had spent years defending Ryan, stood frozen, her face pale, her eyes wide. Ryan looked around desperately, but there was no saving it. His kingdom had crumbled. The fallout was immediate. Guests began leaving, shaking their heads, whispering as they walked out the door. Ryan's friends avoided his gaze, muttering excuses as they slipped away. Emily fled to the bathroom, sobbing, her shoulders shaking. Elizabeth tried to salvage it, her voice shaky. "She's exaggerating. Kids make mistakes." But no one listened. The party was over. And Ryan knew it. He turned to me, his eyes blazing with fury. "You think you won, don't you? You think this makes you strong? You just ruined your own family." I met his glare without flinching.
"No.
You did that all by yourself." That night, the house was quiet. Elizabeth yelled at Ryan behind closed doors, her voice shrill, but I didn't care. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, my heart pounding with a strange mixture of pain and relief. I had lost my brother. I had lost my best friend. But I had kept my dignity, my voice. And in the end, that mattered more than anything. The weeks that followed weren't easy. Emily tried to reach out, texts filled with apologies, begging me to forgive her. I deleted them all without replying. Some wounds are too deep for forgiveness. Ryan avoided me completely, his arrogance replaced with bitterness. The golden boy who once commanded every room now walked through the halls of school with whispers trailing behind him. His friends drifted away, his reputation shattered. For the first time, he was the one invisible. And as much as it hurt, a part of me felt vindicated. Because revenge isn't always sweet. Sometimes it's painful, messy, raw. But it's also necessary. And that night, as I stood on the ashes of what they tried to take from me, I realized something. They didn't just betray me. They freed me. Freed me from their lies, from their control, from the illusion that I needed them to survive. And as I walked forward into the future, I knew one thing for certain. I would never let anyone steal from me again.